Greetings and salutations, scholars. My name is Eli Engler. I am one of the co-hosts of the Scholars of the Capital S podcast. We are here today with our 8th episode with a very special guest, senior scholar student Riya Bolander. Riya, why don't you say hi to the audience?
Hello.
My name is Rachel Listowski, and I am the other co-host of the Scholars podcast. So why don't we get right into it with our first question, Riya? We ask everyone this on the podcast, and I'm sure you've heard it before. So we wanted to know if you could give us just like a 60-second elevator pitch of who you are.
Okay. So I am a senior at Binghamton University, graduating May 2024. I'm double majoring in vocal performance and psychology. I forgot what else goes in an elevator pitch.
Any clubs, extracurriculars that you're involved in?
I'm the vice president of Sound of Binghamton. I'm a TA for the Chamber Singers Choir and also for stand-up paddleboarding, which is a really fun gym class. 10 out of 10, would recommend. I won't be there next time, but I also work at the Q Center as a peer mentor lead, and I work at a local church as a soprano section leader. And I'm a research assistant in a neuroscience lab on campus.
That's so many things.
High involvement.
Yeah. Very impressive.
Model scholar here.
So we want to ask you why you came to Binghamton.
It's kind of it's mostly convenience. My mom lost her job junior year of high school, and this was during Trump's presidency, and she's trans, so we wanted to move to a state that has protections for that encoded in the law. So we came to New York, and Vestal had a really nice school district, so they were like, okay, we're gonna move here. And then I was like, oh, there's a really nice college right there, and I can live at home and also go to college here. So that's kind of how I ended up at Binghamton. But I am so pleased with my choice. I have had the time of my life here.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And did the Scholars Program play any role in that decision? You can say no if that's the case. But
it didn't, because I only applied I applied here and then one other place, and the other place was really expensive. But I was really excited when I got the letter about the Scholars Program. At first I wasn't sure what it was, because any high school senior that gets good grades gets a million letters and emails about oh, join this honors program. So I was a little skeptical at first, but I looked it up, and it was very exciting to see that not only was I going to this university, but they actively wanted me, I guess. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah,
it's just a nice perk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That makes sense. So once you got here, what scholars classes did you end up taking, and what was your experience with them?
I started with the Thinking Like Leonardo da Vinci.
Of course.
Classic. They don't do that one anymore.
Yeah. Now the Scholars Cornerstone Seminar.
Yeah. One for the archives.
Yeah. And that one was cool. That was fun. I liked meeting people. It was over Zoom.
Wow.
And it was... No, it was the next semester. The next semester, I don't know. The Leonardo da Vinci one was fun. It was a nice introduction to meet other scholars. And then the second semester, freshman year, I took Psychology of the Human Body with Professor Merriweather. Yeah, lucky to get into that one, because a lot of people want to do that one. And that was so much fun. I wrote some of my favorite essays ever in that class.
Me too.
Yeah, I got to do one on queer representation in fiction podcasts, and that was so much fun. I got to make pie charts and talk about. I was hyper fixating on the Magnus Archives at the moment, which is where the idea came from. Let's see, and then sophomore year, I wasn't able to take scholars class my first semester you're supposed to, because I got into the voice studio, which is where the vocal performance major comes in. I was always going to be a music major, but then I switched it sophomore year because they were you're really good. You should switch. And I was okay, I am not immune to flattery. So I wasn't able to do it sophomore year because of course conflicts with that. So the next one that I took was actually the community involvement one. And that one was really cool. That was the first scholars class that I got to take in person. So I got to really meet the people in my class, and that was really nice. I still say hi to a lot of the people in that class, like, when I pass them. And then it took all the way until my first semester senior year, when I finally finished my scholars like class requirements. I took community building via debate, and that I was so nervous. I am so bad with conflict. Like, if you like speak angrily at me, I will cry. So I was really worried that was gonna be like a bad class for me, but it was actually like so much fun. And I loved like the tournaments. Kind of wish I had taken it earlier so I could have gotten involved, but I don't know. I'm doing a lot of things already.
Cool. Yeah, debate's been a favorite. I know we both took that as well.
You did, and I was so scared before I took it. I literally, I think, did I drop and re-add? It was something crazy. But I'm so happy that I did end up taking it. It was like such a great experience.
So fun.
Yeah. So on that same note, how did you complete your Scholars 3 and 4 requirements?
So my Scholars 3 requirement was completed by the opera my junior year, I believe.
Very cool.
I don't remember which opera I used for
That's such a casual flex. Like, I don't remember which opera, you know?
My friend Esther did it for, she was also in Scholars. She did Scholars 3 with the Magic Flute. So I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I did it with the Coronation of Popea. L'incoronazione di Popea is the Italian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So impressive.
You're just so much cooler than me.
Everyone gets that impression.
Yeah, and then your Scholars 4.
Yeah, Scholars 4, I am a double major, so I'll be getting that. I'm also doing an honors project with music, and if I had gotten started earlier, I wish I could have done with psych too, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like a common theme amongst all scholars is that you always wish you were doing more, because there's so much that obviously we're all interested in, and I feel that way, and I struggle with like putting too much on my plate and having to be like, no, you need to let it go.
Yeah.
You need to let it go. You're already doing a million other things.
I've been getting better over time. This semester specifically, I've said no to like a couple things that I could have done, and I'm very proud of myself. I'm like prioritizing
it's
self-care.
necessary. It's a necessary part of life.
It's hard though.
Moving on to our next question, what has your favorite part been about being a scholar?
I think it's really cool to be surrounded by people who are like similarly academically motivated.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can connect with scholars on like not always like a deeper level, but I do feel like scholars and I have like line up better than some other students. And I also really appreciated, I used the Scholars Award for the Summer Scholars and Artists program. So I was able to use that money to fund like research that I did over the summer, which hopefully will be getting published.
Exciting.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Working on like polishing it with my advisor, but she suggested a few journals, so excited. I don't know. I like walked into the meeting with her to show her like some stats, and she ended it with like, so you like thinking about getting this published? And I'm like, you think I can get my research published? Like, thank you so much. I feel so special.
That's exciting. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to ask our favorite question now. Every week we ask this, and it's actually led to some real change in the Scholars Program.
It has.
So if you could change one thing about the Scholars Program, what would it be? It could be real, it could be imaginary, fantasy, however you want to interpret the question. I think our most famous answer actually was Rachel's answer from the first episode when she said that she wanted more classes for upperclassmen, which led to a new Scholars Initiative, the President's Fellows, where upperclassmen are able to teach classes.
Yeah. I guess, one thing, like, when I was an orientation advisor, people would always, like, ask, like, why their friend who got the same grades as them was a scholar and they weren't. And I never knew how to answer that question. So if I could personally have an understanding of how that works, so that I can impart that understanding on others, that would be cool.
Tap into the minds of admissions.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you kind of talked about this, how you initially were just going to be a music major, but you switched to a vocal performance major.
Yes.
So if you could get, like, a little more specific about, like, that kind of journey, because I feel like that's pretty unique. Like, I don't know anyone else doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's like, what, four people graduating with it in my class.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, so it really is rare.
So initially I came in with psychology and music. For a long time I wanted to be biology, but then I was like nervous that it would be too much of equipment with music and biology, so I switched to psych because I was also interested in that. So with the music major, I started out with taking like lessons with like a graduate student, and then at the end of every semester you have like a singing final called the jury, where you have to, depending on the level, you have to memorize a certain number of songs in a certain number of languages, and then present those to the like committee. So at the first 2 juries, I was under a graduate teacher, and the voice faculty was like after I would sing, they would be like, wow, like you did such a good job. And then like sophomore year, they sent me an email that said, hey, do you want to audition for one of the faculty taught studios? And I was like, absolutely, of course I'm going to do that. So it did cause like a lot of like schedule issues, but I was able to get into the studio. And then it is interesting that the Bachelor of Arts in Music has like significantly less than the Bachelor of Music. Like it has like all of the same academic classes, but then the Bachelor of Music has like, you have to do like the opera, and you have to do like twice as many ensembles, and you have to do 6 memorized songs for the jury instead of 2. You have to do recitals, and you have to do more lessons and coachings. And I didn't quite realize what I was getting myself into. I was like, oh, I can like switch. I just have to like take more lessons, and I was already good with ensembles because I really love being in like band and orchestra and choir. So it's been like a wild ride. I've taken 26 credits for the past 3 semesters. I think I'm down to 25 this semester. So
wow,
doing great.
That's insane.
Yeah, and the other problem with music is like it'll be a 1-credit class, but it'll like opera is a 1-credit class, but you're meeting for like at least like 6 hours a week, like for a month, for like the first couple months, and then like 10 to 20 hours a week for like the 2 weeks leading up to the opera, and that's a 1-credit class.
It should be like 4 credits.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But the problem is with music, if they made it 4 credits, then you wouldn't be able to finish your degree in 4 years. They make it, and I'm double majoring, so like I take more than most people, but a lot of other like vocal performance majors are also like double majoring or like doing a minor, so they're kind of in the same boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
For the record, for any scholars listening, we do not recommend, taking that many credits. 14 to 18 is a great range. That's
yeah,
what
no,
I would
it is.
say.
It is a good range. I would do that if I could.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially, I mean, the thing with music classes is, usually I'll take like 8 to 12 credits of like academic, like writing, like tests type of stuff, and then I would take like however many more of like performance credits, which they're a huge time commitment, but they don't typically require quite as much outside of classwork.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
For sure. We're going to shift gears a little bit, and I want to ask you, what was your experience working at McDonald's?
Ooh, that was, I actually kind of liked it. My first ever job was at like a bakery in a grocery store, and I had a really mean coworker who would like yell at us if like we were too slow. She wasn't a manager, she was just a grumpy coworker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, the managers are always gone by the time I got there because I worked like afternoons and they were there in the morning. So I like cried like every day like going into work. So I thought that's just what work was. So then I moved, when I started at McDonald's, I was like, wow, I don't like hate my job. Like this is like I can do this and it's like fine. And my coworkers were nice, so it was fun. I really liked like the fast-paced nature of it. I loved like putting things in the bag was like my favorite thing. It's like a little game. You see the stuff, and then when you see it in the slot, you put it in the bag. Yeah. I did meet some really interesting customers for sure, but mostly it was good. Yeah. I liked it a lot, and they had a really nice tuition bonus if you work 30. they might have changed it since I worked there, but if you work like 30 hours a week for like 3 months, and you qualify for $2,500 in tuition every year payments, which is really nice.
Yeah.
That's lit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what like strategies did you have to kind of get through those long shifts that you would work?
I did a lot of, like, when we weren't busy, I would just like sing the whole time. And it was like doubly effective because it would help me like memorize my music that I was working on.
Yeah.
At the same time as like being at work. And if you sing like quietly enough, nobody really like cares. Usually.
But yeah, that's so impressive. I think to take that time, which otherwise would just be like dead time, you know, and actually use it for something productive is really, really cool.
Yeah. No, it was fun. I quit because they like switched the scheduling manager, and he was like super nice, but he would not get my schedule done on time, like changed. I would give him my like school schedule like a month before school started, and then I would remind him every single week to like change my schedule so that I wouldn't be working during class, and then he like wouldn't change it and be like, oops, it's okay if you don't show up. And I'm like, I just don't want to be scheduled, like
yeah,
that's so stressful.
That's tough,
but it was cool. It was a lot better than I was expecting.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I feel like there's always a fear of fast food. Like all throughout high school I was like, I'll never ever do that. And then I ended up working like at a Dunkin' Donuts, and I actually loved it because it makes the shift go by faster when it's really busy, and you just feel so like methodical and robotic, and it's kind of just like you kind of like turn it off. I don't know. I highly recommend for a quick buck, but moving on to your other forms of employment.
Okay.
Here at Binghamton, you worked as an orientation advisor.
Yes.
And so, what inspired you to apply to work there?
I think mostly it was because my orientation was in 2020, so it was like entirely online, and I did not get very much out of it. So I wanted to see like what an actual in-person orientation would be like, and also like learn more about Binghamton. I really like working with like younger students. I always said that if it paid like a little better, I would be like what is it called? Like I would be like the person who arranges the schedules. Like that gives me so much satisfaction. Yeah.
Cool. As little lore for the listeners, Ryan and I work together, and that's how we know each other. But it was a pleasure working with you. I'll state that on the record.
It was nice working with you too.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was a fun summer.
It was.
We're going to shift over to your current extracurriculars, and I want to ask what inspired you to want to give a TED Talk this semester?
Oh, yeah. Everything goes back to 2020. It's so silly. Back in... Okay, so I guess you need like a little like identity background for this specific TED Talk, but I identify as asexual and gray romantic. So that means asexual, I experience little to no sexual attraction, and gray romantic is, for me, I experience romantic attraction very rarely. So for the first like 20 years of my life, I did not have like a crush on anyone, and that was like very isolating for a really long time, and I didn't have any like words for it until like 2020. I was like on TikTok, and I got kind of involved in like aspec communities and started to like understand more like what that was, and I was like, oh my god, that's me, which was like really wonderful to have that, because I just before that I was just like, oh, I'm like weird or like wrong or something, and then so during that time I was like a little bit of like a content creator. I think I had like max like 3,000 followers, but
I made impressive. Yeah, 3,000 more than me.
I made like aspec content and sometimes like ADHD stuff or whatever. And so like during that time, when I was like active on TikTok, I came across the term amatonormativity, and I thought it was really interesting and applicable to like everyone. So I am like very excited to be able to share that. So just like a tiny bit of background, amatonormativity is like, it comes kind of from the word like heteronormativity. So it's the expectation that everyone needs to be in a romantic relationship to be happy, which is obviously not true. But it's like perpetuated by society and like media and stuff. So I'm going to be talking about that and how it's damaging for people like who are like A-spec or like, and everyone else. Sorry, I say like a lot. You're going to have to do a lot of editing. I'm sorry.
We'll leave it in. Don't worry.
Okay.
I use like all the time.
But yeah, so I mean the main thing with that is like I said, for me, I didn't really figure out like the asexual and like aromantic stuff until like a long time after I had been feeling weird and like isolated from people. So I would like to expose that kind of idea to more people so that more people like know what that is, and then also understand like societal influences on that experience.
That was a really well put answer. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited to hear this TED Talk.
Yeah.
I'll be there. Yeah.
Nice. March 24th.
Yeah, so if you're listening to the podcast, Binghamton, and you don't know, Binghamton actually does student-run TED Talks every year.
I think the TED Talk website says you have to specify that it's TEDx.
Oh, TEDx.
Yeah. Independently organized.
Thank you, Raya.
TEDx Binghamton, right?
Yeah.
And so actually, historically, a lot of scholars have done this.
Yeah, it's like I'm the third year in a row.
Yeah, right. So this is the third year in a row we have a scholar TEDx speaker, which is pretty cool. So if you're interested in that, that's a great opportunity for scholars, non-scholars, anyone who goes to Binghamton to get involved with.
Yeah, definitely. And so moving into our final, interview question, do you have any wisdom for younger prospective scholars?
Don't be afraid to like reach out to get involved in stuff. It was a little difficult. Not the pandemic really affected my college experience, but it was a little difficult my freshman year. But I kind of used that because everything was like mostly online. But I did kind of use that as like an excuse to like be like, oh, it's like too hard, and I'm not gonna get involved in things as much. And I really wish that I had started like reaching out to people earlier, or like getting involved in like clubs. I've met some of my best friends in like the clubs and like organizations that I'm in. Like working at the Q Center has been like incredible, and I didn't even step foot in the Q Center until my junior year. And I would have loved to like start doing research with a lab earlier, which I think that I could have if I had been brave enough to like email professors, because I got in, I guess, my first try I got in. I mean, I didn't actually get in my first try. My first try was, they send out like the wide, like whole major applications for some labs. But my first try, like actually reaching out to a professor individually and emailing, I was able to get a spot in the lab. So, and I would have loved to have, like, I'm very grateful that I have that experience now, but I would have loved to have it, like, earlier. So I know it's, like, very hard, but try not to be scared of, like, trying new things.
Yeah, and I you didn't say it specifically, but I think you also had a great point in there about it's never too late to do new things, right?
Yeah.
Right. Even if it's your third or fourth year, you can still try new things and get involved.
I started the research second semester junior year.
Okay.
And like I started the Q Center junior year. Kind of a lot of this was I like did the orientation advisor thing, and I was like, oh my god, there's so many opportunities, and I'm not taking advantage of them. So that kind of kickstarted me doing everything. Yeah.
That's what being an OA will do to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to move on to our new segment, which is the recommendation rectangle. And today, very fitting for Riya, the local performance major, we're going to all recommend a song to our listeners. Mm-hmm. So Riya, would you like to go first?
Sure. This one is, I mean, it's kind of popular, so I'm sure you've heard it. But lately I've been listening to My Love Is Mine All Mine by Mitski, religiously. I love Mitski. I want to hear in concert so bad. Mm-hmm. We'll see about that one. But yeah, no, it's... I love Mitski as, like, an artist. I feel like she does a really good job, like, touching on, like, a wide variety of topics. And I also love, like, her performance is really good. She has excellent articulation. Like, you can understand what she's saying. and her tone is really like even and like beautiful. So I just really admire Mitski, and I love that song so much. It makes me feel very like grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Rachel, do you want to hit us with your song rec?
First, I just want to echo, love Mitski. Such a good song. Great recommendation. Personally, I've been listening to a lot more Fiona Apple recently, so I'm going to recommend the song The Way Things Are. Similarly to Mitski, I love Fiona Apple's just like voice.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about like that deeper.
She's like very like connected.
Yes.
Yeah, to her emotions.
So yeah, that's my recommendation.
Okay. You both went new school, so I'm going to go old school. I'm going to go Billy Joel, My Life. That's my favorite Billy Joel song. And Billy Joel's one of my favorite artists. And it's just such a classic song. And I love the themes about, like, taking control. You know, being in the driver's seat of your own life, which I think, like, most people, unless you're, like, a really big narcissist, probably need to take that in lesson.
Yeah. I had a big Billy Joel phase. My music taste in high school was 100% musical theater. So then, like, freshman year of college, I, like, developed a music taste outside of that. And Billy Joel was, like, one of the first artists that I listened to.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool, yeah. I feel like I've never met someone who doesn't like Billy Joel.
Yeah.
How could you not?
So if you don't like Billy Joel, send me an email. Like, I want to get to know you. We'll get you on the podcast.
We'll get you on the podcast.
Yeah.
New segment, Billy Joel haters. Alright, so now we enter the best part of the podcast, which is game time.
Okay.
So I will be hosting our own version of Making a Millionaire for you, okay? So you're going to answer a $1 question, and then every question is going to multiply that amount by 10 until you get to $1 million question to become our first Scholars Millionaire in Baxter Bucks. Okay?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. We don't. The budget's not that big for the podcast. Okay,
Yeah.
we're getting there. So,
Okay.
are you prepared? Are you ready for these scholars questions?
Yes.
Okay. Starting off with a $1 question. Name one way that scholars can use their guaranteed $3,500 award.
Okay, just one. They can use it through the Summer Scholars and Artists Program, which will fund research or like artistic projects throughout a summer.
Yeah. And so the other answers are study abroad, summer or winter session internship, or advanced professional development, which would be like presenting at a national conference for your research.
Okay. Good job. You have $1.
One Baxter Buck.
One
One Baxter Buck. Sorry. Okay, moving on to the $10 question. How many credits of scholars coursework must scholars complete? So this is through 127, 227, and the 280s.
14.
Answer is actually 12 credits.
12. Is Thinking with Leonardo da Vinci, is it 2 credits?
It's 2 credits.
Oh.
So 127 and 227 are both 2 credit courses, and then the 280s courses are 4 credits.
Okay.
That's all right. You were close.
It's been so long.
It's been a while, yeah.
Okay. Next question. Fill in the blank. Scholars represent the top blank percent of incoming undergraduates to Binghamton University.
3%. Is it not 3%?
It's not 3%.
It was 3%.
It's 2%.
Okay. So
Like the
that
milk,
changed
yeah.
Since I updated my resume because they told me to put 3%.
we are
right now.
extra exclusive now. Okay.
So Raya's missed out on the 10 and 100
Yeah.
Baxter Bucks, but the 1,000 is still in play.
Okay.
So.
All right. So here we are. 1,000 Baxter Buck question. What is the name of the Scholars Exclusive Pre-Medical Internship that allows scholars to spend a semester in residence at a hospital?
The Guthrie Scholarship? Is it Guthrie?
It's Guthrie, yeah.
You're good,
Okay.
though. I would give it to you either way.
1,000 Baxter Bucks for
Woo!
Raya.
Nice.
A huge
okay,
haul.
okay.
Okay. 10,000 Baxter Bucks. Name the 3 professional staff who work in the Scholars Office.
Okay, so there's Catherine Is it
Bowman.
Bowman? Yes. Catherine Bowman. She's really cool.
Shout out. She's
Shout
on the
out.
podcast.
Shout
yeah.
out.
Professor Steve
Yep.
Correct.
and Mirella Fernandez.
Yes.
Very
Amazing.
impressive.
Oh my goodness. Now some big Baxter
Okay,
Bucks are in
okay.
play, okay? 100,000. How many ghost credits do scholars receive to have advanced class registration?
I think it's 24.
That's
Good
correct.
job. Ding, ding, ding.
Nice.
Okay.
See, 24 feels like a lot for people like us, but for Raya, 24 credits, no big deal. Just
Raya
Should average
takes
semester.
more than
Yeah.
24 in a semester. I mean, okay. Final million Baxter Buck question. Okay, what is the name of President Stanger's dog?
Yeah, I'm gonna tap out.
The answer is Brewster.
Yes.
Booster. I knew that. I knew that. I knew it ended like the same as Baxter, but I couldn't.
It's okay. You were just becoming too powerful
We
with
couldn't-
all the questions.
we're glad you didn't get that right because we don't have the $1 million with us right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
okay.
don't. Okay. Well, thank you so much for playing this game one and answering all of our questions and appeasing Eli and I in your busy schedule. We had a wonderful time, and as always, it is Scholars with a capital S.